After an interdimensional journey, Vingod appears in Drakahr, in search of his alien version who shares the same consciousness fragment. The air in this world is denser, warm, heavy. Not only because of the climate, but because of the consciousness that inhabits it. This planet was not designed for awakening. It was designed to work. Cities emerge from dry rock, Gothic structures fused with oxidized metal. Towers don't reach the sky, they dominate it. Everything here breathes hierarchy. Vingod moves carefully. He needs to do a frequency mapping of this planet, to understand the energetic patterns, systems, structures, orders, and the entire dynamics of society before making any decision. But he knows that AEN-002 is a fragment of his own consciousness, so finding it is a possibility, however difficult it may be. Vingod needed precision, not force. He moved into a narrow passage between massive stone structures, a shadowy corridor used by lower-ranking agents and maintenance units. There, temporarily hidden from direct surveillance, he stopped. Time was limited. Closing his eyes for a brief moment, Vingod activated a controlled neural synchronization process, a calibrated neurofrequency scan. Not a signal transmission, but a search for resonance. Silent. Internal. Undetectable by external systems. He wasn't looking for a location. He was looking for a pattern. AEN-002's consciousness carried a specific signature, fragmented, limited, but still present. A frequency shaped by duty, suppression, and a latent awareness. Vingod adjusted his focus, filtering out the noise of the planet. The city pressed down. The system resisted. Then, contact. A tenuous alignment. Not a message, not a voice. A directional pull. AEN-002 was near, and at a high altitude. The palace. AEN-002 was somewhere within the central complex, protected, monitored, deeply embedded in the power structure. Direct access was impossible. Any attempt to approach him openly would trigger automated defenses and elite security units. Vingod opened his eyes. The structure dominated the horizon, Gothic, immense, and heavily fortified. Entry was restricted to authorized personnel, elite entities, and sanctioned agents. He needed a reason to pass. Vingod moved through the outer districts without drawing attention. Not by hiding, but by behaving correctly. Every step was calculated to match the local rhythm. Too fast would trigger anomaly detection. Too slow would signal hesitation. Neutrality was his camouflage. He observed before acting. From elevated platforms and shadowed passages, he studied the palace perimeter. Security units rotated in precise cycles. Detection grids overlapped redundantly. No single point of failure was visible, which meant the weakness was systemic. The palace was not designed to repel invaders. It was designed to prevent internal collapse. That was the opening. Vingod withdrew into a narrow recess between two crystalline structures, shielded from direct surveillance. There, he slowed his breathing and shifted his focus inward. This was not telepathy in the conventional sense. It was neurofrequential synchronization. He aligned his cognitive field with the planetary network, not to access data, but to read coherence. Signals overlapped. Layers interfered. Material, electromagnetic, and psionic strata remained synchronized only because the system forced them to be. Vingod introduced a controlled distortion. A microvariance. Non-destructive. Undetectable as an attack. For a few seconds, what the palace was and what the palace reported were no longer identical. Sensors disagreed. Nothing failed outright. No alarm sounded. Instead, Uncertainty propagated. Internal diagnostics began recalibrating. Supervisory AIs flagged discrepancies. Security protocols shifted from external defense to internal verification. That was Phase 1. Phase 2 followed immediately. Vingod projected a false signature into the network, subtle, precise. The system interpreted it as a possible internal breach at high clearance level. A scenario the palace feared more than invasion. Guards were reassigned. Corridors were cleared. Internal checkpoints became congested with verification processes. Order was still visible. But beneath it, control was reconfiguring itself. Vingod did not rush. He adjusted his neural profile and overlaid it with a borrowed identity, a low-level logistical authorization, functionally invisible. Not a disguise of form, but of purpose. To the palace, he now registered as something that belonged, vaguely defined, unremarkable, unquestioned. He stepped into the access corridor. No guard stopped him. No system challenged his presence. Within the inner perimeter, Vingod slowed again. Through layers of stone, metal, and energy shielding, he felt it. AEN-002. The resonance was unmistakable, stable, disciplined, partially suppressed. A fragment performing its function inside the system that held it. Vingod adjusted the synchronization parameters and narrowed the link. This time, the connection locked. AEN-002's awareness shifted, not visibly, not behaviorally, but internally. A deviation detected only by a mind trained to recognize itself. Vingod advanced until he stood within AEN-002's direct line of sight. They did not speak. They did not signal. The harmonic resonance generated by their near-identical frequencies was enough. AEN-002's energy scan decoded every necessary detail of the situation instantly. Their conversation unfolded entirely below the threshold of perception, encrypted by proximity, shielded by the very hum of the palace itself. Around them, guards were in motion. Systems recalibrated. The palace remained under the illusion of control, oblivious to the energy compatibility and the clandestine data stream flowing between them. AEN-002 offered no resistance. The truth was already manifest. The challenge had never been convincing him to leave, it was always about the how and the where. And now, the path was clear. The palace stood intact, security remained live. Not a single alarm echoed. Yet, deep within its core, a prisoner had been retrieved, and the countdown to departure had begun. Any sudden movement would trigger a response. Drakahr's surveillance net was already on high alert. They had no other choice, slip away into the shadows, and then, run for their lives.
Mentalize the creation of an interdimensional portal that connects you to the AENTRIX ship of AEN-001. I will find you after I retrieve AEN-003.